Hello, Ted here with Whole Latte Love. I'm a senior repair technician for the company, and I have a Gaggia Babila here next to me. And I'm going to go over some causes, tips, and tricks for a stuck brew unit or hard to reinstall brew unit. First and foremost, causes would be to disrupt the cycle of the brew unit, either in the rinse cycle, during brewing, and the big one I see all the time is the descale. Let me go about talking about that for a second. So if your machine is in a descale cycle, it has a lengthy process it has to go through. I find that most of the time when I do get a machine eventually on the bench for a stuck brew unit, it's usually due to the machine not finishing the descale cycle. They remove the brew unit or remove the dredge drawer tray, and they aren't able to get the dump box back in because the box itself doesn't go past. You can actually get it to come out with the brew group in the work position, which is where it's supposed to be when it's moving water to the front door. If it's in the work position and you pull the dump box and tray out, you won't be able to get it back in unless you finagle the dump box to go up underneath this plastic tongue thing that sticks out, the little ramp at the bottom of the brew unit here at the front. If you can't get it past that, I'll show you a trick in a little bit how to get the gear mechanism and the brew unit back into the normal position where you can slide that tray in. That's the number one reason I see is the tray and dump box is removed and they can't get it back in. Their brew unit is stuck. When it's actually not stuck, it's in the middle of a cycle. It's there, it's supposed to be there to do what it's doing. It's just now the machine has stopped because it doesn't recognize the tray's there, the dump box, or the door is open, whatever it may be. Another cause would be like shutting off the machine in the middle of a cycle and then trying to remove the brew unit. The brew unit is still in the mid-cycle somewhere. It needs to be in the home neutral position in order to get it out. So improper placement is also an issue with the brewery group. The two tracks that the brew group goes on, down here, the two tracks that it slides in on and goes in. Even I do it sometimes where I don't have it just lined up just right on those tracks and I kind of get it in there on a slight angle. That can cause it to be off a little bit and may cause it to get, jammed up or whatever. Again, I'll show you how you can reset, a couple of simple tips and tricks that I have. So just keep in mind that you don't want to disrupt that whole brew group cycle, either doing brewing, rinsing, or descaling. Definitely on descaling, let the machine finish the descale before trying to do anything with removing the dump box or the tray, unless it tells you to do so. On this machine it will. If the tray gets too full, it'll shoot up a message, it'll reset the brew group so you can actually pull it out and dump it, put it back in, hit OK, and so on and so forth, and then let the cycle complete. Just make sure you don't try to remove it during any portion of the cycle where it's not asking you to remove it. Once you complete the descale cycle, you'll be able to use the machine as normal, regular, everyday machine like you normally do. I can't stress it enough, let the descale finish. If you're unsure how the descale cycle works, resort to your manual, which will go in description about it, or we have videos on descale cycles on machines by type. So you should be able to look that up and then see what the whole process is like. If that's not your problem, it's going to be one of the other things that I just mentioned, opening things, removing things, anything that disrupts this cycle, or the tray trying to remove it and put it back in when it's in the middle of a cycle. To reinsert a brew unit that's been removed and it's not going back in, there's a couple of things it could be. The more common one is when you take it out to clean it. So you take the brew unit out to clean it. Let me switch to my other camera here. So you take it out, you clean it. That's all fine and dandy. You're supposed to do that. You maintain it, you clean it, you lubricate it, whatever you got to do to it to make sure this is a good functioning brew unit for as long as you have the machine. But during cleaning, you dislodge the mechanism. It could have moved around on you. This one's all loose and weird and wonky now. I can actually, move it around. See if I can get it better. So yeah, so this whole mechanism is moving. It's not where it needs to be in order to put it back in the machine. This one obviously has grounds in it. Let me wipe those off. So We need to make sure this mechanism is in the correct spot in order for it to go back in the machine, as well as this little thing that we call a flag. I'll go over that in a second. The mechanism itself, all you got to do is slide that cup down if it's in the up position. Even if it's down here, I mean, it could be down here, it could be anywhere in here, as long as you slide it down that track and get it all the way down to the bottom. And once it's at the bottom, you turn it back like that. So as long as your chalice is in the upward position at the bottom, it's almost there. We got one more thing to do, and it's something I do all the time just to make sure the brew unit's in the correct position. Right here where my finger is, that across that bar, you want to push down in the middle, like that. So you saw the brew group move down just a little bit. Now it's completely into the normal position where it should be to reinstall the brew unit. Last thing you need to do is make sure that flag is up. If that flag is not in the upward position and it's down like it just was, like that, which you can do accidentally cleaning it, which is understandable, just make sure it's up. If it's down, the brew group will not go in the machine, even if your mechanism is all correct, because this tab is going to hit the plastic wall in the back and not go through the slot that it's supposed to go into when it's in the up position. In the up position, it goes through a slot and then it's pushed in and then triggers down to lock the brew unit in place so it can't come out. Again, if this is down, it won't go in. Just pull it up and make sure it's in the up position. Once you got the flag in the up position, the brew group mechanism is in correct position, you should be able to put the brew unit in the machine if that was your only issue. Another thing you can do to check to see if it is in the correct position is there's two arrows on this brew unit. One on the yellow right here, and then there's one right behind it on the black body of the brew unit. And then there's also an N right behind the arrow. N means neutral, which is the home position. So as long as these two arrows line up, the brew unit is in the correct position. Once you're sure that this is correct, the mechanism's all right, the flag is in the correct position, now you should be able to put the brew unit in as long as that was your only problem. Now if the gear neck is in an incorrect position, even if you got this all set, it won't go in. And I'll show you how to correct the gear neck inside the machine in a moment. And this is what I mean about an incorrect position on a gear neck. I intentionally put this brew unit in the incorrect spot. So right now this gear neck that's in here is not in the correct position. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I pull this out, because it's easier trying to put the brew unit in without the dump box in there and whatnot. Right now if I try to put it in, it's not going in. There's no way I'm going to get that in there. So what I got to do is I got to get that gear neck, which I'll show you a little bit closer. That gear neck, these teeth need to be in the correct spot. These two bigger ones that I'm putting my fingers on need to be in the upward position, almost at 12 o'clock. You'll see in a little bit when I get it corrected. That's incorrect for home position. That's why the brew unit will not go in. So let me go ahead and put this dump box back in. And get that in there. I'm going to close the door because the trick I'm going to show you to do, we're going to need the dump box in there and the tray, and then we need to close the door. We don't need to worry about the brew unit being in there. It just needs to have the door and the dump box tray installed. Those sensors need to be triggered in order to do the trick I'm going to show you what to do in the tech menu. First off, I'm going to go over something really quick and easy that you can do if your brew unit is not out of the machine and it's just kind of in a weird position where you can't remove it for whatever reason. You might be able to do a simple quick trick, and that's just turn the machine off on the back. You turn it off, you wait 3 to 5 seconds, turn the machine back on. When you turn it back on, usually a few seconds later, you usually hear a noise going, and that's usually the brew group and the micro switches and everything getting set and making sure everything is in the correct position before the heat up cycle is done and the machine is ready for use. That is just to reset and make sure everything is correct. So most of the time you can get the brew unit to go in the correct position just by doing that. If you can't, there's one exception. If it's in a D-scale cycle. If you turn the machine off trying to do this trick and you turn it back on and it still won't go into a position where you can remove the brew unit, you're probably in a D-scale cycle. The D-scale cycle has to finish no matter what. either if you by switching it off or back on, the machine still knows it's in the descale cycle. So that brew unit will go back into what's called the work position, like I mentioned earlier, and you won't be able to remove the brew unit. You won't be able to put your box back in if you had removed it prior to that, and so on and so forth, like I mentioned before. So again, descale cycle is very important to let it finish. If resetting by the switch worked and you're all good, great. If it didn't, I got one last trick. I'm going to show you how to get into a secret menu that these machines have. It's what's called the tech menu. And we use this at our bench to diagnose the machine, troubleshoot it, and figure out what's going on, other than opening it up and examining things. This is one other tool that we have in our arsenal. So this tech menu will allow you to operate certain functions of the machine while you're not using it in normal use like you would on your counter. You will be able to go in and operate the functions of the brew unit to get the gear in the correct position. And I'm going to show you how to get into this secret tech menu. And the way to start it off, I'm going to explain it real quick before I go to the front of the machine. We have to have the machine completely off by the switch in the back. Once we have it off, we're going to hit a 4-button configuration on these 4 buttons right here that will get us into the secret menu. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. And once we do that 4-button secret configuration, we'll see some grid pattern blocks with numbers and letters and stuff come up, and I'll show you that also. So let me go ahead and switch the camera, and I'll get around the front and we'll show you how to get into the tech menu. Let me get to the right angle. There we go. So, apologize for the glare. These machines are very shiny and it's hard to not get the glare. So these 4 buttons we're focusing on. Don't worry about the 2 little ones or anything over here right now. We just need to focus on these 4 buttons. And we need to do a 4-button pattern shortly after we turn the machine on in that loading bar that comes up across your screen. When that loading bar comes up across the screen is when you want to do this 4-button configuration. If you happen to miss it, the machine will start up normal, which is fine. Turn the machine off on the back, wait a few seconds, turn it back on, and try again. Eventually you'll get it, and if you get it, it'll look like something what I'm going to show you. So you got this button here first, the special drink button, the espresso button, the espresso lungo button, and the coffee button, in that order. Boom, 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 boom. It's sort of like an X, almost like an hourglass without the bottom line. You know, okay? That's what you need to do after you hit the switch and see the loading bar come up. Let me show you. Loading bar. Hit the 4 buttons in that order, and now you see that. And you can see every time I hit the button, that loading bar kind of went back to start, went back to start. So you don't have to be extremely fast to do it. You just have to do it before the loading bar finishes. Even after you press the 1 button 1 time, the loading bar will still happen. If you don't press another button before that loading bar ends, the machine will start up normal. So just make sure you hit that 4-button pattern as the load bar comes up, and you'll see this screen come up. This is the grid pattern with the numbers and letters I was telling you about. Don't worry, it won't self-destruct. This is where you can operate functions in the machine individually by themselves. So we need to get to a different page or screen. They call it a page. There's different screens that you can go through to get to where we need. We need to switch that screen to a different page. So we're going to hit this button down here, the one with the little lines and the dots on it. We're going to hit it, and now it says keyboard. We don't care about the keyboard. We don't need to worry about it. We're going to hit it 1 more time. Now it says brew unit. This is where we can operate the brew unit. And I intentionally set this brew unit up, or the gear, into the incorrect position to show you one thing. This HW, if it's not lit up, that is the micro switch telling the machine that the brew unit is in either work or home position. So if that's not lit up, it means it's in that middle of the cycle somewhere. That's telling you it's not correct. If the home button is lit up and the HW button is lit up, that means the brew unit is in the home position. If it's in the work light is lit up and the HW, that means it's in the work position where it supplies water to the front of the door. If it is in that position or in between, we can get it to go to the home position by easily hitting 1 button. We're going to hit this button right here. And you can see it lit up because I hit it. and eventually you'll see the HW light up. We literally made the brew unit move from wherever it was to the home position. Now it's at the home position. That's all you got to do. And then all you got to do is go through, hit this button one more time, one more time, one more time, and I think exit. I'm sorry, I skipped past the menu by accident. So you see this exit, we're going to hit this power button, which corresponds with that block. And we're just going to hit that button and let the machine start up normal. This one won't because it's still missing the brew group. And right now, it doesn't have the brew group in it, so it's like confused at the moment. So we're going to turn that off, and I'm going to open up the machine and show you that the brew unit is now in the correct position. So those two bigger teeth that I was talking about earlier, they were down this way. You can see now they're in upward position. That's exactly where they need to be in order for the brew unit to go in. So if I remove this tray and try to reinsert this brew unit like I tried before, it goes right in. It's all set and good to go. You can put your dump box in now without that flap being in the way from the brew unit. If you accidentally pulled it out, close your door, and now you're good. So that is one way you can get either your brew unit to go back in if it's out and the gear's not lined up, or to remove your brew unit if it got stuck for some reason. If the problem of the brew unit getting stuck continues after getting everything situated and you still have a problem with the brew unit getting stuck every now and then, you're probably going to have something that's going on. Like I said before, make sure you do your brew group maintenance, because if it's built up with stuff, it can cause it to jam up also. But usually it's more likely going to be a malfunction of the motor, microswitch, or something of that sort if it continues to happen after getting it corrected with one of these two scenarios that I just showed you. My name is Ted. I hope this helped. Have a good day.